this is Lisa with Queen Bee Creations. I'm excited to show you a project today that includes this little booklet here that holds cards. Glad to have you watching. Today we're going to be making this little book. I don't know if you can see, it's kind of a organizer. And so it's got a pocket for every month of the year, and you would be able to write down everybody's birthday, anniversary, all of those things that you want to remember to send somebody a card. And then it's got a little pocket, so once you have the card made, you can store them in there and they'll be ready to go. So each month you can just pick up your little organizer and get going to send them off their cards. So I'm going to show you my desk, and we can, there we go. So here's everything on my desk. I'm going to be loading a PDF of the months. These are what I used for the pages in the calendar in here. So if you want these, they are a PDF. You can download them from my site. And then some other pieces we're going to need is this is chipboard. And this is from the back of our designer series paper, our foils, the glimmer paper. All of those come with this little chipboard behind it. And so I like to repurpose them. I mean, I don't want to throw stuff out if we can reuse them, right? Might as well put it to use. And then I've got some, also, speaking of putting it to use, some retired designer series paper. It never fails. At the end of each catalog, I have lots of extra designer series paper. And I can't really use it for current projects on my blog because I want to encourage you to get things that you can order. So I'm going to be making cards with product that you can actually order. But with all that old designer series paper that you may have laying around, we're going to make that little book. And so because these are 6.5 by 8.5, so that's our chipboard. There's two of those, a front and a back. And then I went an inch bigger. So this would be 7.5 by 9.5. So it'll have a little to fold over. And then for in the middle, on the inside, this is just a little bit bigger. So this is 6 by 8. Then I've got just 6 pieces of designer series paper. You can choose any designer series paper you want. You can choose new, you can choose old, you can choose mix and match, you can make it match. You know, it's all up to you. It's just going to be the pages inside here. So you want to kind of pay attention to what you're folding up, because the part you fold up is going to be what you cover up, and then the other part's going to be what you see. And I want to be able to see this side. So when I do my fold up, it's going to go this way. So there's the back side. So to do this, I mainly need my Simply Scored board. And so I'm going to go through and score all of these. Okay, I'm just making sure there's no pattern I have to make sure is going one direction. There's not, thankfully. So I'm going to score this at 8. All right, 8. And then turn it and score at 6. Oh good, I love to try something you haven't done yet. I don't know why that just tickles me. Okay, so I'm going to take and fold up at that 4-inch score line. Then I'm going to fold at this 6-inch score line. And I want to make sure that my pockets are on the outside. So we'll do that with all 6 of these, and since they're double-sided, that'll give us the 12 pockets that we need. Okay, so now I have the 6 pockets, or my 6 pages with my 12 pockets. And we can choose to bind this 2 different ways. We can either do a 3-hole punch and use the oh, this paper is a retired paper pack. I was saying it's a good way to use up some retired designer series paper. This is Pop of Pink specialty, because I just have lots of retired designer series paper that I can't really use on cards, but I can encourage people to make this book with whatever paper they have on hand. And then I'm also using the chipboard that comes from behind. So this I cut down to 6.5 by 8.5. And then I'm going to put the paper over it. So I'm going to use tear and tape because I want to make sure that it sticks really well. I tried to use liquid glue on the first one, and I don't know, because the designer series paper is a little bit thinner, it kind of warped a little and I didn't like that look. So this time I'm using the tear and tape. I use liquid glue a lot, but mostly on cardstock. Oop. There we go. So then I just have this other piece, and like I said, I want this side to show, so I'm going to adhere my board, my chipboard, on the inside. So I'm going to do that for both of them. I've recently added an Amazon link because I get a lot of questions of people asking me, you know, where I get certain things, especially my brother's Scan and Cut. People have been just loving that. And so I'm not allowed to list anything on Amazon that's sold by Stampin' Up, but things that are non-competitive, like we don't have a pair of tweezers and we don't have a Scan and Cut. I do give a link. It gives me a little bit of a referral fee for sending you over there, which helps me continue doing my Facebook Lives and everything else on my blog, because all of that costs money, of course. Your sales also help, so people who come and buy from me, that helps keep things going as well. I want to continue doing this for you guys as long as I can, so your support means a lot to me. Okay, so we're almost ready to cover these things. Yes, I do have the new puppy. She's actually taking a nap right now, thankfully. Let's see, she'll be 12 weeks this week. No, 10 weeks. She'll be 10 weeks on Friday. She's tiny. She's about 1.5 pounds. She's a toy poodle. Okay, so now that I have this down, I'm going to cut the corners. And so I'm going to go diagonal from point to point, and then I'm going to come in just a little hair and wedge it. So corner to corner, and then just a teensy bit over, because I kind of want it to come over flush, but I don't want it to hang over the edge. No, actually she's in Sophie's bed, so it looks pretty funny because the bed's so much bigger than she is. We got her own little bed, but she really likes Sophie, so since her bed smells like Sophie, she's in that one. They've actually started playing together really well. And I don't know what she did. Pixie did something that, you know, she hurt herself and she started yiping. And oh my gosh, Sophie was so concerned. So she's being a good, I don't know, big sister, mommy, whatever you want to call her. Yeah, she's actually playing very well. I worried because she's been a single child for so long, I think about 4 years. And we got her when she was really tiny too, so she's been very spoiled. Now they're both spoiled. Guess that's what happens when we don't have local grandkids, huh? We find dogs to spoil. Has anybody started making Christmas cards yet? I did a craft fair on Saturday that was kind of a Christmas in July theme. I am so not ready. I'm not ready any year, but it just seems like this year's gone by so fast. Okay, so you can see how much I've just barely wedged it in a little bit because I don't want any exposed cardboard, but I don't want it to hang over the edge. So now I'm just removing the backing from the tear-in tape and folding it over. Can't spoil puppies and grandkids, right? Okay, so there's one. There's going to be one cover. We're going to quickly do that to the other one. Okay, so that's how the book's going to go together. It's going to have the front and back chipboard with the pages in the middle. Now, like I said, you can use a hole punch and those rings and just have it, you know, be 3 rings on the edge. But I wanted to show you a tool that my son got me a while back. This is a Zutter Bind It All, and it turns the thing into these, it's like not spiral bound, but because they're not spiraled, but it's bound. And so that's funny. I kind of had to because I put stuff on the blog that kind of forced me along. Okay, I'm looking for a pencil because what I want to do is I want to start out by binding in the middle. And so I'm going to take my covers and then a ruler. This is another thing I wish Stampin' Up! Had. This ruler is awesome. It has lines every 1/8 of an inch, if you can see that. So I'm able to see right in the middle, like every 1/8 of an inch all the way across. And it's got the 0 in the middle here that lets you center things up. So if you like put it at, see, 3 1/8. That 0 is the center because it's 3 1/8 on this side and 3 1/8 on that side. So just a really fun tool. And then the other side works as a regular ruler, showing this is 8 1/2. So I can come in here at 4 1/4. And I'm just going to make a little mark. And so if you notice on my Bind It All, there's an arrow in the middle. And so I'm going to line up the little mark that I made with that. I pulled this thing out because that's the little stopper. And I'll show you what that's for in a minute. Okay, so there's our middle, and I now have 3 on either side. So I need to have 4 more this way and this way, because I counted how many are on here, and this has 14. This was kind of left over from another project I did, so I'm gonna make this fit. It's gonna have a little bit extra on top and bottom, but I'm just fine with that. It's still gonna work great. Let's see, so like I said, I want 4 more, so I'm lining it up, so I'm counting that there's 4 more that they're gonna punch, but I'm gonna line it up with this stopper that I moved before, and I'm gonna punch that into the hole. And so what that does is it holds it so that my holes are evenly spaced. So you can't tell where I started and where I stopped. So now I'm going to go the other way. And there we have it. There I have 14 of them. And they're pretty evenly spaced. So now I'm just going to do that with the other side. Again, I'm going to find the middle. The overall thing is 8.5, so I'm going to line up at 4 1/4. I'm marking at the 0. Oop. Lining it up with the arrow in the middle and punching down. Then I'm going to move over and lock in my thing. And then I'm going to flip. I'm going to make sure these 2 are already cut out, and I want 4 more. So I'm going to line those up and use my stopper. And now I have the 2 covers. And by measuring and everything, you can see they line up just perfect. So you can't tell that I punched them separately. So now all I need to do is do the same thing with these. And the overall paper was 12 inches and we folded up 4. So there's 4 inches this way and 4 inches this way. So this part right here, that's my middle. So that makes it really easy. So I'm going to line that down the middle, punch my hole. I'm going to come over to where my 2 that are already punched are lined up there. I'm going to put this little stopper thing into this hole that's hanging out. Do you have one of these yet, Barbara? It was so fun. I've seen so many cute little projects done with it. And I was telling my son about it, and I got one. Fun how that works. Kind of a reverse of when he was little. Okay, now you're wondering, no little pieces are falling out, and that's because there's a little trap door here. And it holds everything on the inside. So when you're all done with your project, then you can turn it over and knock everything out. So it kind of keeps your desk a little nicer. There we go. Just making sure it's not getting too full so we get nice clean cuts. Okay, so there's the last one. Then this other side is what's going to close the comb. I don't know if you notice, as each time I was pushing down, it was punching out over here, but it was pushing this shut. And what I have is I have it lined up at 3 1/4 or 3/4 of an inch, because that's the size, not comb, this edge that I have. And what I'm going to do is line these up. I want this to be my cover. And then I'm going to take the back piece, and this is how it would be, right? And if I stuck it into the binding machine, the edge that closes would be on the outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over. So I'm taking the back and I'm flipping it over so the two good sides are together, and then I'm going to feed my little comb through it so that my closure will be on the inside of my book. I don't know if you can see this. I'm just kind of feeding it through this one side. Oh, that one I didn't finish punching. Haha. Joke's on me. Let's see. Okay. So now I've got all of them together, and then I just lay it in here. And then this piece closes it. And because I have it set to the 3/4 of an inch, it can't over close it because it stops. And then, like I said, that the edge is on the inside, so this is the back cover. So when I flip it around, it keeps it on the inside. So now it's nice and clean on the outside. So isn't that cool? Okay, so now we have our book together. Then the next step is to cut out your calendar. Like I said, I had this. It printed off on a PDF like this, which I will give you a copy of. And then I just matted it with a little slightly larger piece of Melon Mambo, since that's one of the colors in here. So 5 1/2 by 3 7/8, because I just wanted a small border around it. And so since I made all of the Melon Mambo exactly that size, and these are, I don't know, they're off like maybe a 1/16 of an inch, which drove me crazy, and I wanted them uniform, so my Melon Mambo is all uniform. And then all you have to do is adhere them to the inside on each pocket. Oh. A whole bunch of these around. I was making barn door cards. I had a friend order, I don't know, 12 of them. She has a ranch and she wanted me to make her a bunch of cards she could send out. So if you get one, like I said, I'll give you the link. You can get it off of Amazon. And it just makes your Stampin' Up! Supplies go like that much further. It's so fun when you can do, you know, more things than just cards. While I love making cards, it's just, I don't know, there's so much more to it than just that. I've decorated the face of a clock. I've, you know, made 3D items, little boxes. There's just so much fun stuff to do. I guess that's why I just love Stampin' Up! And have for many years. And I didn't get rid of my large letter dies. I just couldn't. I love those things so much. So I think what I might do is punch out the word cards and put it on the outside. I guess I'll try it with my new letters and see how that looks. But I don't know, those old ones, I'm just so sad they retired them. They were so good for scrapbooking and so many other things. But who knows, maybe we'll make some new alphabets of our own, as now we're making our own dies, and we'll have a little more control over things. So I don't know if you want to watch me like go all the way through putting all of these things in, but I mean, you get the idea of how I'm doing this, right? I'm just putting some adhesive around the edge, and then I'm placing it on the inside of each pocket. And then you can decorate the outside however you wish. So I hope you found today's project fun and that you give it a try. Like I said, I will have it on my blog, and I will have it all finished up. I'll decorate the outside cover and show you what to do there. And I'll have all the measurements printed out if you didn't catch them on the video. So thank you for joining me. I hope to see you over at my blog and on my Facebook page again, and I will see you next Monday at 2:30. Thanks for joining me. Bye.